Welcome back, dental assistants, to Lecture 6, the composition of teeth and tissues surrounding the teeth. Three main parts of the tooth. Anatomic crown. This portion of the tooth is covered by enamel and is visible in the mouth. Anatomic root is the portion of the tooth embedded in the bone of the upper and lower jaw and is covered by cementum. Pulp cavity is the central portion of the tooth that is filled with pulpal tissue and surrounded by dentin. The cemento-enamel junction, or CEJ, is also known as the cervix. It's the constricted portion of the tooth, and it's at the junction of the anatomic root and the anatomic crown. Apex is the very tip of the root. Apical foramen is the minute opening that the blood supply, arteries and veins, lymphatic drainage system, nerve supply all enter the tooth into the dental pulp. The dental pulp includes the blood supply, the arteries and veins that enter into the dental pulp through the apical foramen. The blood vessels in younger teeth are more numerous than in older teeth. Also, the lymphatic drainage, the independent system of vessels that carry the lymph. Lymph is the clear fluid that carries the waste. The nerve supply is also located here and includes the nerve endings that transmit sensations of either pain or touch. The pulp cavity consists of two major parts: the pulp chamber, the largest part of the pulp cavity that is located within the coronal portion of the tooth, and the pulp canal, the small and narrow portion of the pulp cavity located within the root of the tooth. Now let's discuss the tissues of the teeth. Enamel is actually the hardest tissue in the human body. It protects the dentin and covers the entire crown of all the teeth. The dentin is a substance that is harder than bone but softer than enamel. It's light yellow in color and makes up the largest portion of the tooth. Cementum is the layer of bone-like tissue that covers the roots of the teeth. The periodontal ligament, which is called the PDL, is a collagenous fibers embedded within the cementum. They serve as the mechanical function of attaching the root of that tooth to the wall of the alveolar socket. Now let's discuss the anatomical landmarks of teeth and dental terminology. Cusp is a peak or elevation of a tooth located on the occlusal surface of molars and premolars and on the incisal edges of canines. Contact is the area where one tooth touches its neighbor. Fissure is a fault that occurs during the developmental groove during the incomplete or imperfect union of two lobes. Pit is a pinpoint depression located at the junction of developmental grooves or fissures. A pit is often the site of dental caries or cavities. Mamelon is a lobe found on the incisal edge of anterior teeth. Usually, it includes 3 in number. Groove is a linear depression on the surface of the tooth. Ridge is a linear elevation on the surface of the tooth. It gets its name according to its location and form. For example, buccal ridges, incisal ridges, and marginal ridges. Marginal ridges are the elevated borders of enamel that form the margins of molars and premolars mesial and distally with the lingual surfaces of anterior teeth. Embrasures are the triangular space in the gingival direction between the proximal surfaces of two teeth in contact. The embrasures may diverge into 4 directions: facial, lingual, occlusal, and apical. Now we will discuss the tissues surrounding the teeth. This is called the periodontium, and it's the tissues that do surround all teeth in the mouth. Alveolar processes the supporting sockets of the teeth. Periodontal ligament, PDL again, is the collection of fibers within the tooth that have the primary purpose of suspending these teeth within the socket and supporting the gingiva. Gingiva, sometimes also known as gums, can be broken into, first, free gingiva, the movable tissues that surround the crown of the tooth just above the CEJ, the gingival crest, which is the peak of the free gingiva, the gingival sulcus, the space that exists between the tooth and the free gingiva, free gingival groove, which is located below the sulcus. This line separates the free gingiva and the attached gingiva. The interdental papilla, the triangular-shaped crests of the gingival tissue located between the teeth. These crests of tissue consist of free and attached gingiva. and attached gingiva, the portion of the mucous membrane bound to the tooth and to the alveolar arches of the jaw.